Hey, good morning, my friends on the East Coast. Good afternoon, my friends in Europe. So, my name is Kevin, and welcome to Kicking Back with Kevin. Today is Sunday, the 6th of September 2020. And, I have been busy working on a few things here, a few things there, a few things everywhere, getting ready for today. And I actually picked this subject or content to talk about sometime Thursday last week, somewhere in there, after my Wednesday live, because we were talking on Wednesday about defying the lies. No, what was that last Sunday? Anyway, so today we're going to have a go at the self-sabotage, the things that we do to ourselves when things start to get tight, tough, that fight flight place that there's like I call it like a bit like a wreckage sandwich. You have the desire to do something and grow and move forward and see what's happening, and then the foot in the past that's comfortable, the comfort zone, staying in that comfort zone, and the wreckage sandwich happens in the middle. That's the filling. The wreckage sandwich can be it's wrecked now, why worry about anything else? Or it can be, oh my goodness, I don't want to go into a wreck. Anyway, the result of digging into the self-sabotaging is all of the habits that we were doing when things weren't going quite the way we thought they would go, and we really want to cocoon ourselves and get comfortable and do the things that we have always done to coping. And then the other part is pain. Now, I should be in full disclosure, and I should have said it before this. I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or a trained counselor. These are just personal growth, things I've learned along the way, things that helped me, things I did to transform myself out of some of these habits, and the things I've learned from things that might have been gone a different way. And I share some reflection about when that's happened, when I've known, things show up. So that's my own experience, my own journey to fuel these live streaming, whatever they're going to become, videos. I didn't get quite enough sleep last night, so excuse me for yawning. I was up at 5:30 this morning. I did do my live meditation. That's so glorious. I said, sitting in getting clear, and this morning I was led to talk about how the heart beats, whether we're conscious of it or not. It has that ba-boom, 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 and then somehow the heart is telling the brain to beat, and then the heart does it, and the blood goes around, and the oxygen comes in. It's like this whole fantastic biological body that we've got that runs independently of whether we're really conscious of it. And then I'm thinking, well, when we get conscious of our brains doing the work, and we're thinking about it to do something, it's like, oh, that's even more magic. But I'm now going down a bumpy road of digression. Interesting, I opened up this book today, Being of Power, Baron Baptiste, who runs the Baptiste Power Yoga Institute, was the founder of the style of yoga that I taught. That's a whole nother avenue of my life that I'm not really sure about at the moment. It's not self-sabotage. I did look at that and said, am I trying to get away from not doing it? It is transformational for sure. What it looks like and where we're going with it, I don't know. Right now it's online. My own practice is quick, fast, furious, not very often, I have to admit. That might be part of self-sabotage. I got used to having a lovely, warm, hot studio, sweating, getting the toxins out through sweat. My body responded well that way. It doesn't respond well to room temperature. I tend to eat food and drink drinks at room temperature, but my exercise, oh no, that's not working. I'm sorry, but I'm just being honest. Okay, so back to the subject at hand, self-sabotage and the pathway out of pain. Now, I'm not talking about physical pain, although I will say emotional pain, mental pain's another different avenue. I think mental pain can be actually diagnosed, and again, that would take a medically trained person, a counselor, to meander that road. But I do feel that there is emotional imbalance or emotional things that happen as a result of something painful or something we perceive to be painful or something we think is painful. Not so much a really traumatic event. And for that, here's what I know about that, or my experience of it. You know, when folks experience real solid trauma of whatever nature, violence, emotional, real trauma, typically they're the last people that want anyone else to know about it. And I can attest to that. I got very, very good at hiding behind humor, hiding behind everything was all right, everything's great, everything's fine. I hid well in plain sight to cover up whatever trauma had occurred, whatever trauma went on. The result of that, which is what I'm talking about, the pathway out of pain, without taking a pathway out of pain, without getting an understanding to it, the hiding kept going, and I kept going. But the underneath, you know, it was a bit like an undercurrent, similarly to I could be cool, calm, and collective on the surface, but underneath it was an undercurrent that was really pulling me under. That's very much linked to self-sabotage. So in the pretending and the hiding, started with bullying when I was little, and then I turned to what made me feel good, because it compensated for the feeling that I wasn't good. So, and you know, young folks, I don't know, as young as 4, 5, 3 even, figure out a very good way to cope. And mine was food, lots of it. I became quite a chubby young man at, I don't know, probably 8 to 10, somewhere in there. There's pictures of me, my school pictures, and you can almost see that arc of time where you got the school picture where you look like, you know, every other normal kid, happy-go-lucky, giggling, laughing, big old smile on my face. And then they're the ones that you went and posed for where the photographer came to the school and took a picture. And they were the chubby ones. And it's in those pictures that you can see something's going on, as I see as an adult. If I look back at who I was then and what was going on then, it's interesting. So the pathway for me was really to look at it, but not look at it, well, part of it was looking at it being that, going sort of backward in there. And that, I think, is the fear most people have. Well, don't really want to go back and relive it, don't really want to go back and redo it. But there's something cathartic and something therapeutic about gently opening up pieces of it, and get into an understanding of what was the intention. Or typically it involves people. It can involve an event. You know, it could involve a death of somebody that you're close to. You don't understand what happened. Or the ending of a relationship that affected you that wasn't of your doing, but it affected you either way. You know, I know a lot of adults that didn't really know what to do when their parents split up and got divorced. They just went and went their business and trusted that whoever was taking care of them or taking care of the situation was okay with it. But there is a way. And that is identifying when it shows up. For example, there are times, you know, in my adult life that things would happen and I would become reactive very instantly, very quickly, without really knowing what am I reacting to? Now, at the time, it might be blowing up at somebody, getting angry at somebody, or having a fit about something. But that wasn't the thing that was really driving the bus. It wasn't the thing that was up underneath it. There's always this, like I told you, calm and collective on the top, but underneath there's this stuff going on. And the reaction would happen as that stuff, trying to be controlling, trying to stay in the happy place, would pop up through the surface where there was nowhere for it to go but up and reacting. The way out, the pathway for me out of the pain of self-sabotage was really looking at it and seeing it from a different angle and actually getting in touch with what really happened, what really occurred. The other thing that was really helpful and interesting, but it did take a while, was seeing, like, for example, my issue involved other people being picked on at school, being called names, not understanding what was going on, not fitting in, wanting to fit in and fitting into the people that other people felt like was wrong. So it was very confusing. Then I looked at it from a different point of view. I call it sitting in the other person's seat at the table, or the other people's seat at the table, and understanding, what do they see? What did they look at? Because, you know, when we mature and we become adults, we're not seeing the same things the same way as we did when we were little. They're different. But it's so interesting that the same level of pain and the same level of stuff keeps going. That's at the point where I had to get real with, I'm actually the one that's keeping it going, that's putting on this mask, that's pretending everything's okay when it's not. Not to say that I all became this heaping mess of emotional crap, but even if that were the case, cleaning up the mess is very cathartic, in so much that when you look at it from a fresh perspective, I am not suggesting that you make the pain go away. The event didn't go away, so why should the pain? But it does ease up the blame and shame and continuation of the sabotaging. It's interesting, I've got a book here, or the book I showed you. Buddha says, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at somebody else. You are the one that gets burned. A lot of times the self-sabotage is really directly connected to anger, directly connected to the idea that we have somehow been wronged, that we have somehow been treated badly, and we don't know what to do about it, who to blame about it, so we just carry on this sabotaging and complaining. Sabotaging and complaining. The blame game. And the other point is the pathway out is to look at who or what are you complaining about, and what have they done that's so terrible. That's the first thing. Being specific and identifying, you know, when this person said that at that time, this is the result. What happened? That was, for me, a bit like unraveling the yarn of a knotted up blanket. I kept pulling. And what I realized when I was looking at, you know, when Bobby spilt such and such on my carpet and left a stain, I felt, and I'm like, I really didn't care. It was really okay. I mopped it up and cleaned it up. So why am I trying to find a reason for it to be not okay? And that is when I realized, oh, I got to pull more of this unraveling of this wool out and see that was not the case. That really wasn't the case. It took some work with somebody, a partner, to get clear. And the partner would say, did that really happen? that actually really happened the way you said it happened. This person did this, they did that, they purposefully did such and such, and they on purposely did. No. Okay, but you just said they did. The challenge is, in order to hold on to that comfort zone, the place that we have been, the masks and the outfits and the costumes, to cover up this thing that happened, is costing a lot. And it's costing a lot of freedom, it's costing a lot of authenticity, it's costing a lot of life, a lot of living an authentic big life. That's not to say it goes away, but the hiding is the coping mechanism that we think should go away, that we want it to go away, so we do all these things to stop it being seen. The other way it showed up for me was the need to be right. Someone would have an opinion and they would trot this opinion out, and I would have to defend it if I felt like there was another point of view, and defend it I would. There's a little bit of that still going on. It shows up for me when somebody tells me what they think I should do. You should be doing this. Well, I would do this. And oh, it's like a trigger. Oh, really? Now, what I've got clear about is that the person actually has my highest good and the highest good of me in mind. It isn't, but I'm looking at it like I should be doing this because somehow they don't believe I am, or I'm doing something wrong, or that's where the defending comes in. So, pathway out of the pain is understanding what's the intent of this. So it does take a bit of practice, because there's two things we all do, it's hardwired: respond or react. React is what we're used to. It's what we see, what we hear, what we know, we think, oh, that's what we got to do, react. The response is takes a bit longer. But once practice, it's pretty easy. You just put some pause in front and have a little look at it. I got to think about this a bit more. I'm not sure. That's it. That's all. I learned something last week in my live every day in August challenge. A delightful young lady, Patty, I won't give her last name because I want to protect her identity. She had this fantastic string of quotes. Your mess becomes your message. Your pain becomes your purpose. And your wounds become the words of wisdom that you share with other people. There is a pathway through it, and that is right through it. To look at it, examine it, get specific, identify, is this still going on? Then why are you carrying it around with you? And without realizing it, how many people in our lives have we hurt because we kept this going without forgiving whatever the situation was? And maybe that is ourselves. All right, that's it for today. I'm going to meditate, though, and we're going to read from the book. So, that was just the subject matter. Melody Beatty, here comes our magic book, Message from the Heart. I'll take the feather out. You know, I don't quite know what kind of feather it is, and if some of you know what this sort of feather is, I have no idea. Whether it's a hawk feather, it's a pretty good size one, but I found it in the yard, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And this just seemed like it wants to go in this book for some reason. There we go. Imagine what you want. Okay. I don't know if that fits, but there you go. Imagine what you want. What do you want? What do you want to create in your life? What situation do you want to live in? Describe the scenario, imagine it. We often have what we want, but we rarely take the time to imagine it. And imagination is the first step toward creativity. What do you want? What would it look like? What would it feel like? What is working? What is what you're working so hard, what you really want? What relationship, what job, what home? If it is, go for it. If it's not, imagine and create something different. Begin with an imagination. Imagine what you really want in your life and in your mind. Begin with imagination. Imagine what you really want in your mind. Okay, and you've taken the first step towards creating it. If you don't know what you want, that's okay too. Ask the universe for help. Ask God and the universe to bring your highest good. I do that all the time. This or something better now manifest for me, for the highest good of me and everybody I know. If you're not including everyone you know and everybody you contact with, you're sort of like trapping it, you know. We all have relationships with things, not just people, like relationship with money, relationship with love, relationship with sex, relationship with affluence, relationship with fame. We all have relationships based on something. And when you want to create something that's for your highest good, include the people that are going to help you get it. Because you want it to be for your highest good and their highest good too. So if they're helping you, somehow you want this situation to help them as well. Then the little affirmation that's done in italics. Ask the universe to help you create exactly what you want and need. Trust the universe and you will be trusting an honorable and benevolent friend. This is so interesting this comes up because, you know, recently I've said, and I believe it really wholeheartedly, I'm not ignoring all of the cultural issues that are going on outside in the world. I did take a conscious decision not to watch any kind of network news or read any sort of news headlines. That was a while ago. It just didn't seem to be good. I'm not saying that I want to all my days are like puppy dogs and teddy bears, because they're not, but I didn't want to add more fuel to what is already a smouldering culture of folks who aren't really very happy. And I'm sure I'm not on my own when I explain that there's just this energy out there that is weird, odd, and different. And I've tried to think, was it always out there? Has it been out there for a while? Have people always been this sort of uptight, maybe? And it's just as strange. It's just a strange phenomenon. It's a feeling, a vibration. It becomes exhausting if you let it. So, with that said, what I do believe is that the disruption and destruction is creating something new that's underneath. So when I think about how a plant or a tree has to grow, that plant or that tree, first of all, has to disrupt and dislodge and push through the earth underneath, downwards, making space, and then push upwards, making space. And sometimes those roots come up in another person's driveway. There's always a response, or there's also a relationship that happens as a result of growth. I like to believe that what I want to create for myself and everyone else in the world is something that's a little bit more harmonious, something that's a little bit more equalized, something that's a little bit, seems like, you know, everybody feels like they're all getting what they want, and you don't end up with this polarity that's happening. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't want to go into a political discussion. It's time to meditate, my friends, and we'll do this for briefly, not for long. So once again, if you're not used to meditating, or you don't want to meditate right now, you can just shut this off and come back to it later. But if you want to meditate and get clear, the purpose is to get quiet and centered, to come into the purpose or the underneath or the intuition that you go with, your gut feeling, with all of the mental thoughts and things that clamor on up in this part of our body. It's hard to get centered, feel grounded without this going on. Meditation takes a practice like anything else. You don't sit down for the first time and get up and say, oh my goodness, that was amazing. Although you might, I don't know. What my typical experience has been when new folks meditate, if there's a lot that they've been carrying, once they begin to come down through the layers of offloading it through their exhalations and then more inhalation, it invokes sleep. And it's not uncommon for people who begin to meditate to go straight into a deep sleep. Might only be for 5 minutes, might be for 10 minutes, drift off. And that's so funny because at the end of it, when they're coming back out, they almost feel guilty, but they look incredibly rested. So it doesn't matter whether you do go to sleep or not. Get used to being with what is and what isn't. Put your feet flat on the floor, close your eyes, big breath in. Let it out. And feel the tingle of where the air created space. Just let yourself be in that new space you just created where the air expanded on the inside of your physical body. Take your attention to your feet and the sensations that's going on in the soles of your feet. That could be barefoot touching the floor. You could have socks on, socks are touching the shoes, and the shoes are touching the floor. It doesn't matter. What matters is for you to be present to and witness of the sensation of your feet grounded, both of them equally on the floor. Focus on your knees, your left knee and your right knee, and be aware of any sensations you have in them. If it's tight, slightly painful, irritated, breathe into the joint. And as you exhale, let some of that go, release it, open it up. Focus on your hips, your left hip. Do the same thing. Breathe into an area that might be tight, stuck, or needs to be released. And on the exhale, let it go. Be present to moving across the pelvic bowl, that bone that joins your hips, to the right hip, your right hip. Think about build the quality, the energy, the sensation, what's going on in your right hip. And move your attention to your low back, the area right above your tailbone. And let your mind flow up your spine. Move up to the area behind your belly button. Come up to your chest, behind your heart and your lungs. Move your mind up to your collarbone, the area that joins your shoulders, and then down both arms. Isolate your fingers from each hand, left hand, and then your right hand, and let the thoughts and energy travel from your left or right pinky finger all the way through the thumb, then into the thumb of the other hand, all the way through to the pinky finger. Keep your breath going in and out as you move up to your jaw, your nose, your cheeks, all the way up to the crown of your head. With the energy and attention to the crown of your head, just see your whole entire body as if you're observing it. Think of this as like your twin soul, the one that you have inside your body that's having a human experience, and your other part that is outside your body having the spiritual experience. Both parts make up the whole person. With focus on your third eye center, the area right between your eyebrows, and your mind set on your whole body, vibrating, pulsing, begin to see what you see. Your third eye center is the window, the viewpoint to your spirit, to your soul, what's underneath. You feel complete when your body can no longer settle. Your hands to heart center. Acknowledge yourself for doing the work, and then acknowledge anyone else in your life you want to acknowledge. You can then set an affirmation if you want to, that you ask that the ties that bind you to negativity, stories, people, situations be cut. Give thanks that they've been cut. And then lift your thumb knuckles up between your third eye center. And then together we just bow and say namaste. You can open your eyes, come back into the room. That's really all it takes to start a meditation practice, is 10 to 15 minutes every day, sometimes twice a day. It certainly has helped me become a little bit more centered, a little bit more together, a little bit less reactive, and it helped me to get to the work that I was talking about earlier. This has been a pleasure. I will be back here again at 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning for another session, and I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday, and please enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. If you're on holiday, hopefully you're not working. And we'll talk to each other soon. Thanks so much. Bye.